Hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Pursuit. We're still in the study of Jesus in our generation, and today's topic is
money. So today we're talking about money. To start, what are some of the things that you love to spend your money, like either things or activities?
I like to actively walk to restaurants and eat. So I like to spend my money on food.
You walk to the restaurant?
Well, I get out of the Uber and then my stuff's there.
So from the car to the store, to the door.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. I also spend a lot of money on foods, so much so to the point where that's kind of what I've become known for. It's more, let me specify. I spend a lot of money on snacks, more so than food. So at work, I have like a cupboard full of snacks right by my desk. So everyone knows that if they ever need like a fix for the day, like a pick me up, like, oh, I just really want a snack, they just come straight to my desk. And I was clearing it out last week and I was like just writing down just so I have inventory. Mm-hmm. And my coworker was like, first of all, she was like, why are you taking inventory? And I was like, I just like to know what I have. And she was like, you're like a cat short of being a bodega. And then I was like, I don't know what bodegas you go to or what corner stores you have in your neighborhood, but there ain't no bacon, egg, and cheese in the back of here. There's no ock. There's no ock in there. But yeah, I've become known for the plethora of snacks that I have at my desk.
You're the snack plug?
Always. I almost always have snacks on me. And I say that just because right now I don't have any on me.
She always has snacks, even here. Like always, we can always count on her to pull out some kind of candy bar or M&Ms. She's like, do you guys want any?
Yeah. Because I don't want to hoard it for myself. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's not nice. If I have it and people see me eating it, I'm going to offer. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, actually, that was a good segue. Speaking of hoarding, what is the difference? What do you think the difference is between saving things versus hoarding them?
Well, with saving, I think saving is like smart. Like you're doing it more so because you have the intent of like, you have a goal or something mm-hmm. that you want to meet. Whereas hoarding is kind of like your intention is different. Like you're just doing it as like more of a flex than like who can have more than really a positive behind it. Yeah,
I think the difference between saving and hoarding is that there's a purpose behind saving versus hoarding. It's just like, I'm going to do this because I can do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to see how much I can get. Versus saving, it's like, oh, I'm saving up for a car, I'm saving up for a house, I'm saving for school. Like there's a reason behind why it is that you're saving. And it's instead of just like, I just want to show people that I have. But why can hoarding be very dangerous?
I think it's dangerous because your intention is like to have the most, and like you're kind of putting this pressure on the things, like this want on the things that you have stored up, whereas it's like, as we said, like saving is much different than it's hoarding.
Yeah, I think when you're hoarding, it's more so like I feel like with hoarding, it's more so you're never going to be satisfied with what you have. You're always going to be striving to like gather more things. And then you're going to end up with a bunch of things that you're never going to use, and you're never going to they'll never see their purpose. Mm-hmm. You're just going to have a bunch of money sitting in the bank. You're not going to do anything with it, and you're still going to be miserable because you're constantly searching for more. And I think that greed that comes with hoarding is very dangerous because you kind of end up just being this miserable like Scrooge mm-hmm. who never wants to spend their money on anything, who never wants to do anything but acquire more. And it kind of reminded me of that parable that Jesus had in Luke chapter 12, where he said, a rich man had a fertile farm that produced fine crops. He said to himself, what should I do? I don't have room for all my crops. Then he said, I know, I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll have room enough to store all my wheat and other goods, and I'll sit back and say to myself, my friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy, eat and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get everything you worked for?" And then Jesus comes back in at the end and he says, "Yes, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship with God." And it's like, what is the reason behind your hoarding? Why are you focusing so much on acquiring things versus building things? And I think that's why hoarding versus saving, there's a very fine line, because you can say, yeah, I'm saving, and it ends up becoming hoarding because you lose your purpose. And then you just fall in that slippery slope of just being like greedy. Whereas when you're saving, it's not like I'm just saving. Like here, he thought he was saving, but he was just like gathering his crops. It's like crops go bad.
Yeah.
You can't have a singular crop that's going to last you years, like after you've, reaped what you sowed. So first of all, that's not a very sustainable plan. Second of all, like you're not building any relationship with it. What's the purpose of you hoarding all of these things if you're not going to use it for the greater good? Like you're not saying like, I'm going to procure all of these goods so in case there's a famine, I can help those around me. So in case like someone else is in need, I can help them. I can give them some of my goods. You're just saying I'm going to hoard it so people will know that I have all of these things. And I feel like that's why I love it when he says, "You fool."
Yeah.
Like, are you foolish? What are you saving this for? Like, you're going to die now because you're being greedy and you're not being grateful for what you have.
Yeah. Like, because I feel like if you're blessed with to have enough, like you, especially with like crops or something that,
that's going to go bad.
Yeah. Like, why not share the wealth with other people and, build up the community?
And so with that, what do you think it is that makes the pursuit of money kind of destructive?
I think when your intention is to like you want money for the wrong reasons. Like you want it to like maybe have like be the richest person or like have your name out there. Like I don't think anything is wrong with like earning money, because money is a good thing. It's the way of life. Like that's how you buy things. But I think when you have a bad, like an evil intention towards money, like that's when it becomes like there's a fine line. And actually like in Hebrews 13 verse 5, it says, "Don't love money. Be satisfied with what you have, for God has said, I will never fail you. I will never abandon you." So we can say with confidence, "The Lord is my helper, so I will have no fear. What can mere people do to me?" He's basically saying like, be satisfied with where you are in life, like all that you are blessed with. Like when you want more money, that's when it becomes harmful. Like when you're always like you're never content with where you are.
I think the overall pursuit of money in terms of building a sustainable life isn't destructive, but I think when you cross that line of just I want to have more money just to have more money, that's when it gets dangerous, because that's when you're living a life of like, I just want to gather, I just want to hoard. But it's like, what are you hoarding it for? You're not doing anything with it. So it's like, that's why I feel like when you have that mindset of like, yes, I want to have a good job so that I can make good money, so that I can live a good life, that's different because you're using it towards a productive goal, right? So like, I want to have great experiences in my life.
Yeah.
That's why I want to have a good job that can sustain the lifestyle. But it's not like I just want to have a good job so I can have like 17 zeros in my bank account.
Yeah.
And that's with a number in front of it. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm just hoarding all this money so I can be like, I'm rich.
Yeah.
No, I want to live a rich life, but I don't want to have like riches here. Because then it's also like, there's also the parable of like the, where you're storing up all your earthly goods. Whereas, what is it? You're storing all your goods where moth and vermin can come in and destroy, but you have no heavenly goods for like you don't have a relationship with God. You don't have any sustainability outside of your material goods. And I think that hoarding is kind of a form of idolatry in some ways, because you're putting your focus on that versus that relationship with God.
Yeah. And I feel like, as like I go back to it, I feel like there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things, like if you earn it, like, and you know, everybody deserves to like live the life that they want, but like I think when your intention, like there's a very fine line where it's like, oh, I want this just because I earned it, or I want this because I want other people to like
to see that I have it. Because I had a friend, and she would only buy nice things that she could show off. So like if she had red bottoms, she would take, you know, that picture where it's like you're standing with like your foot like this,
yeah,
so you can see the red bottoms, like that. She would only take pictures that show the red bottoms instead of like a regular picture. Or like if she had a, like, I don't know, what's a super nice brand, like a YSL or like a Chanel purse or something, she would only take pictures where the brand part of the bag is showing. It's like, did you buy it just to take pictures? Like, did you buy it because it can hold what you need? Like, that's how I buy my bags.
Yeah.
Because, like, my mini backpack, it's small, but it can hold a full bottle of water. It can hold a bag of chips. And it can hold a pack of candy. And then my wallet and my keys and everything else that, normal people have to carry or whatever. But, like, that's how I shop for my things. You know what I mean? I'm not shopping to say, like, oh, I really, really want this YSL bag so I can show people that I have YSL. Where I think it's different, where it's like, I like luxury items, so I'm going to buy them so I can collect them for myself.
Exactly,
and I think that's where the difference is. I'm not buying these things so that I can show off to the world, like, I have these things and you should want these things. I'm buying it because I genuinely like it, and the craftsmanship and the, like, what it brings to the table.
So, like, with that being said, would you consider our culture to be greedy then?
Wasn't there like a period of time where the slogan was like, let's get this bread, like wake up and get this bread, rise and grind? I feel like hustle culture has become like a little toxic, a lot of toxic sometimes, because you focus more on working hard and acquiring money that you forget why you're acquiring it. And I think that's kind of like the hoarding. Like, you're like, yeah, I gotta stack my, like, oh, I feel so cringy saying I gotta stack my bread. But like, that's what people say. And it's like, why are you doing this? Because you're miserable. You're working a 9 to 5, and that's okay. I work 8:30 to 5 technically. But like, I'm doing things outside of it because that's funding my things outside of it. I'm not working just to say that I have money. You know what I mean? And you can be humble and you can still have things.
Yeah.
And that's not like, I think it's all about the mindset. And once you have that mindset of like, I'm working for a goal versus I'm working to have. And that's where a lot of people fall short. And I think that once you have that relationship with God, where you realize where he's taking you from and where he's bringing you to, you can remain humble in him. And you can remain like just knowing that there will always be better for you. And that's in like your destiny, like that's in God's plan for you. He always has a plan to better you. So you don't have to like stress on the fact like, I need to get all these things. I need to show all these things, because if it's in your heart and if it's in God's plan for you, you will have it regardless. Like you don't have to do things just to prove that you have it. Like your daily interactions will show that you have what actually matters.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a struggle that many people like face, is like waiting for like, if God wanted me to have that, I would have that.
Yeah.
It's like, because you kind of want to go out there and be like, complain and like get it yourself, and like, oh, okay, like I have to do this myself because I want it. And like, but like if God wanted you to have something, he will not like leave you out of those plans.
Yeah.
And I think it's also when you say like the wake up and get this bread, which I still think is like, I hear that all the time. Like it's like cringy because no shade, but on my Instagram they're like, I see like, you know, those people, the guys that are like flexing their money,
like they're counting their cash.
Yeah, that's like the most cringiest thing I've ever seen.
Immediately no.
Yeah,
immediately no.
And I think that's when it becomes like greedy, is like, it's fine, make the money, you should be proud of what you earned, but it's like when you're like doing it,
flaunting it.
Yeah,
I find it so gaudy.
Yeah,
I'm not and then I think that's kind of I think because of the fact that I find it so gaudy when people do that, I kind of like humble myself because I don't ever want to be in that position. So that was like my follow-up question to the one you asked would be like, would you consider yourself a greedy person? And because of the fact that I cringe when people do that, so I wouldn't want to do that for myself. I feel like I'm not.
No, I don't think so.
Right? Okay, good. And then we just said, like, oh, wait, did we say that? Was that in the refilm? Whenever I have something, like I grew up, like you share with the people around you. So like if I have a snack and I'm eating it openly and I can see that people are seeing me eating this snack, like I'm not going to just hoard it for myself. I'm going to offer it up to the people. Sometimes they are really weird though, so people don't take it, which I'm okay with. But like you grow up and you learn to always share what you have with those around you, and that's kind of how you stay grounded within yourself, and not just within yourself, but within the church, I think. When you have that like that group mentality, the community mindset. Ugh. And I think that was the issue with the rich man's approach to his possession. Like we talked about it in the last episode, he kind of had that individualistic mindset where it's like, I'm just going to procure all this wealth just for myself. And his highest goal was just to procure all these things. But like, what are you going to do with that at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Not a thing.
Yeah. And as you said, like, I feel like Jesus really was the one to humble. Like, I feel like people nowadays need that
to be humbled.
Yeah, they need that story. You know, maybe I should start like posting. Like whenever I see someone like just throwing like money on Instagram, I'm just gonna post that parable. I'm spreading the word.
Yeah, it might not be the word that they want, but it's the word that they need. And so like this generation, I think is very. I think our culture has taught us to be like very materialistic.
Yeah.
Just because if you're not showing that you have things, what are you doing?
Which I'm always like really aware. Like I feel like if I like bought something nice, like I don't like I feel like, because as you said, like there are people that want to show the label. Like I feel like weird doing that.
I think, okay, so my thing is, there's, like we said, there's a line between being proud of what you have and flaunting it. So I think if you're saying like, this is an accomplishment, like I've worked so hard and I've saved up and I was able to buy myself this car, then I think that's different. But if you bought like an ugly car just because it's a luxury brand, just to say that you have a luxury brand, and every single post after you've bought it is of the branding of the vehicle, I think that's gaudy. And I think that is like more hoarding and like just using it as a flex versus like being actually proud of the blessings that God has given you. And I think that's why a lot of times people are seen as very materialistic versus like just being proud of their accomplishments, because they'll use their material goods to like be jerks to people that don't have.
Yeah.
And that grinds my gears. I think growing up in that culture as well has kind of taught us that we are defined by our possessions as well.
Yeah.
So like growing up in middle school, like if you were wearing Arrow, like you're done. You said you're in?
Was that not a thing?
Well, I think, there was a portion of time where it was like, that was the it brand, but like a couple months.
Oh, I feel like the very beginning stages.
Yeah.
And then like at the end it got like no.
Yeah, then Arrow was no. And then it was Hollister and Abercrombie. But Hollister and Abercrombie were expensive.
Very expensive.
They still are expensive. So it was like everyone was buying all this Hollister and Abercrombie, like even if it was on clearance on sale, like from 3 seasons ago, just to say that they have Hollister and Abercrombie. It's like, I don't understand. Like you're putting yourself through all of this turmoil just to say that you have, when you could just not. And I think when you're satisfied in who you are and what God has given you and what, like, your relationship with him, you kind of lose sight of the branding and trying to just acquire things to acquire them.
Also, I feel like, well, as you said, like once you're like content in yourself and like what God has given you, but then also it's like, I feel like in the church, you're always told like these possessions are not going with you beyond.
Beyond, yeah.
Yeah. So like you can store whatever you want, but it ain't coming with you.
Doesn't mean anything to God.
Yeah.
it's I find it so funny because a lot of times people work so hard to show that they have everything, but like on the inside they're like dead and dry.
Yeah.
Like there's no substance outside of what you own. And I think that's sad. And sometimes I feel bad for people like that because they don't realize that there's nothing outside of what they own and there's nothing within them. But there are some people like that's just what they want to pursue and that's what they want to show. So you can't really help them outside of that. And I think that's like they've succumbed to the culture. And like it takes me back to like that verse in Timothy. I think it's First Timothy 6. For the love of money is the root of all evil, and some people craving money have wandered from the true faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. So like when we started with the Hollister and how expensive it was, like you're putting yourself through turmoil and like sorrows just to say that you have these things so people won't make fun of you. Whereas like you can just take a step back and like think about the bigger picture. Like you don't need to have these things. You don't need to show that you have to be a good person. And I feel like that was something that a lot of us needed growing up because we went through all of these struggles and all of these like, you know, you try to fit in. You want to be like the cool kids, you know? And as a kid, you don't, like, people will tell you, like, older people will tell you, like, oh, no, you don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't listen because they're not there with the bullies or, like, with the mean kids or whatever. But as you get older and you become more stable in who you are and who God has defined you to be, you realize that it is actually true. Like, I don't even know what brand my shirt is. I could not tell you. I bought it at Marshall's, right? Like, and that's normal nowadays because no one cares about what you're wearing or what you're doing.
Yeah, like I feel like when you're a kid, life just seems very more dramatic than anything. Like, and then you get older and you're like, okay, it wasn't that serious. You were like really dying over this one issue, thought you wouldn't make it, but like, it's like the smallest thing.
And so, why do you think it's difficult to have that eternal mindset when you're always focused on your belongings?
Because I feel like it gets lost in translation with this culture. Like this culture is very, as you said, materialistic, and we want more, we want possessions, we want money. And again, not saying that money is a bad thing, but when you think of it like spiritually, it's like none of it matters to God. Like he's not going to look at you differently because you have the most money in the world. Like he's looking at your heart at the end of the day. So I think that people need to find more perspective when like making the like seeing the difference between the two.
Yeah, I think actually yeah. But it is true. God's not going to look at you differently because you have or because you don't have. But if you are faithful and you have that strong relationship with him, he will bless you in ways that you can see as well.
Yeah.
Like there's one level of growth where it's spiritual and you feel that fulfillment within yourself. But there's another level of growth where he is blessing you material. Like he can like guide you to a better job or better opportunities for yourself. And in turn, you'll like, obviously if you have a better job than what you have now, you're going to have better benefits, better pay and everything so that you are blessed in that way. But it's not like to show off like, hey, I'm so faithful that God gave me this BMW. No, because that's kind of negating everything that you're doing. The mindset shift instead should be like, I thank God for giving me this BMW because I have like, because he is so good to me, because I was without and now I am with, and it is because of him solely. And I think that's like, it's difficult to have that mindset when you don't grow up, like seeing the little things that God has done for you. Like when, not even growing up, but like when you don't see the little things God has done for you, you don't realize the big things that he's done for you. And that's why it's hard for a lot of people to have that eternal mindset, because it's like, yeah, I worked really hard for this, so I did this for myself. And it's like, no, he opened these doors for you. Like he's put you where you are.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the same people that like, you know, have the I did it myself mindset that also that's why they put that extra emphasis on the finding fulfillment within their stuff, is because they don't really believe that anybody helped them get where they are, and this product is of their like happiness of what they've done for themselves.
Yeah, it's kind of like their way of was it satisfying, like filling the void. That's what I think. I look at it as filling the void, because there's no real substance, like there's no fulfillment outside of your belongings. And well, another question, I guess, what could it look like if we were to use our possessions for an eternal purpose? Like, is there a way that we can use the things that we are acquiring for like the greater good, like to further the kingdom?
Yeah, I feel like if you are given, like we're given a lot of gifts from God, like if we're good at something and God has blessed us in that area, that we are allowed, like we can use that to get a good amount of income or something, and like better job, as you said. I think that we can use that money, like we can give part of that money to like a good cause, like a missions trip where we go reach out to other people, say what, bring people to God. And I feel like that's how, like there are many other ways, but like that's just one way that you can use it for God's purpose.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when we acquire new things, we forget about the old things. And I feel like you don't have to forget about the old things, because a lot of times they're still pretty good, like in the condition and stuff. So like in my family, we grew up with a lot of hand-me-downs. So like when my older cousins would get new things, they would pass it down to the youngest, and we would just take good care of it and it passed down. And so I feel like with that kind of mindset, you learn that just because I don't have a use for things doesn't mean someone else won't have a use for things. So like we had our Commonwealth or like our Hope Days where we can like take, I guess, older things that people don't have use for, but are still really good, and they can give it to the people that are in need. And I think that kind of it's not only sustainable for the planet, because you're not like clogging up, the earth with garbage, but you're giving things a new life, and you're giving them to people that actually need it and can use it for the purpose that it has. And especially if you're buying those like super name brand things, they're made of good quality. They're going to last a lot longer than you are intending them to if you take the right care of them. So I think when you have that sustainable mindset, and you have that the idea that I'm not only doing this for myself, right? Like I'm not buying clothes just for me. I'm buying things that other people can use down the line. It helps you to maintain that community mindset as well.
Yeah.
And then have you ever, I think we kind of touched on this, but have you ever defined yourself by your things? Have you ever found yourself in that
I think I used to, like wanting to fit in, and like, if I got like a name brand thing, I'd be like, oh my God, like, but like, I don't think I do anymore, because I kind of see that it's not really important. Like, I don't think that it's important to me at all. If I get something, or no matter where it's from, like I'm always grateful and just happy to have it.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I wasn't like super brandy, I don't think, growing up. I was a jeans and a t-shirt girl. I was just like, okay, I'll wear it. Like, I think the only thing I was like picky about was like the Hollister jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Every year for school, we would buy one pair of Hollister jeans because they were stupid expensive, and you'd have to make that jeans. These are probably still the ones. It's been a while since I left high school, but like they're really good.
Yeah, they're in good,
because that's why they were expensive. But yeah, I think outside of like the jeans and like, I think that was the only thing I was really brandy about, because I was an Android girl. I'm still an Android person. I literally could not care less. But like, yeah, I think once you're outside of the mindset of like, oh, I need to have this brand, I need to look like this, I need to look at that, you're a lot happier within yourself, I think, because you're not just chasing trends. You're not just trying to find out what is going to make other people like you anymore, because you just literally could not care less. So how could we help other people that are in that mindset of hoarding versus saving?
I think you just need to figure out the difference for yourself, because I know that if like other people told me when I had that mindset, I probably wouldn't understand it. But I think that you have to realize that saving is completely fine. As we said, it's encouraged. You should always save if you have a goal in mind, but if you can also share your wealth with other people, you will be blessed, and that is a blessing to other people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, yeah, if you are blessed, it is, I don't want to say like what to do with your blessing, because ultimately that's your call. But I think the point of being blessed is to share that with others. And I think that if you are blessed and you're just kind of hoarding it for yourself, you're kind of negating the purpose of it. And so I totally agree 100%. You should figure out what the difference is between hoarding and saving for yourself. Because especially growing up, you think you're saving towards something, but you don't really know what that is. And if you don't know what it is, then you're probably hoarding. And so once you figure out that goal, then it's kind of easier to take inventory of what it is and what you're putting your priorities in and where that lies for you. Because if you're putting your priorities in just like acquiring things so that you can say that you have them versus acquiring things that have a purpose, and it's not just material goods. It's like, I want all of these friends just so I can say I'm popular and I have these friends. Or I want like to be really funny so that people like me, so that they can, like, you know what I mean? It's more so than just your material possessions. It's also about your, like, your, what's the term? There's like a, I don't remember the term, but there's like a, it's like your intangible, like your characteristic inventory, I guess. I don't know. But you have to take inventory of your life in all aspects and see what are you putting your priorities in, and how is that benefiting the kingdom? How is that benefiting you in the long run in your relationship with God? Because I think especially with this generation, we get lost in trying to show the world that we forget that we're not living for the world, we're living for God.
And I think with what you said, with the friends aspect, like that's a really good example, because that just made me think of less is more. Like I always thought of that with like friends as like, you can have as many friends as you want. Like I would rather have 2 really great friends than have like a million other friends that I don't really connect with.
Yeah, like I think I have more like acquaintances or like people that I can be social with. But when it comes down to like really like the nitty gritty, like who are my friends that I can confide in and that I can trust to guide me and I them, there's like maybe a handful of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are the relationships that really matter, like in your daily life. And not like, and they can also, I think those friends that you have should also be able to guide you in your spiritual life in like, you know what I mean? Like helping you make good decisions and helping you maintain, like hold you accountable for your actions and stuff like that.
I agree.
Yeah. So hold your friends accountable, but not in a rude way. So wrapping up this episode, saving versus hoarding. Hoarding is just holding on to things without a purpose. Saving is, I don't want to use the word in the definition, but saving is saving for a goal. Yeah. There's a purpose behind it. There's a reason why you're holding on to these things. And once you figure out what that is for you, it can be a very fine line. Then I think you'll be able to live a more meaningful, a more fulfilled life once you can use the blessings that God has given you.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. That's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed the study so far. We have a couple more episodes in this one. Stay tuned. I won't do a teaser this time.